Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sovan Panda. I bring about 20 plus years of corporate experience. I worked close to 18 years with Infosys and close to 2 years with Saskin. And now I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I mentor close to 10 plus startups. Today, I'm going to talk about growth mindset. Now, why this particular topic is extremely important is because if you look at the startup ecosystem, now most of the startups, they struggle to succeed. The success rate is very low, and that is where I bring in certain elements of growth mindset which is required for business people, for startup owners as well as entrepreneurs. So I'm going to talk about seven very key elements, and this is going to be very useful to all the people who want to make a very successful journey in their startup as an entrepreneur or a business owner. So let me start with the very first element, which is called as the reason for why a startup fail, right? So when I look at any startup or when I mentor startups, now I start bucketing startups into three different categories. Now the first category, which is category A, where there are a lot of startups who say that, okay, let me try to do something. Let me try to implement some of the ideas that I have. And if it succeeds, fine. If it does not succeed, then I will go back to my job. So, which means they have a backup plan, but there is no intent for people to succeed because they are using startup as a trial mechanism, as a opportunity to let me try it out and see whether what happens. Okay, so they are leaving everything to the luck, leaving everything to the circumstances, and I call these this is as a category A, and definitely this is not a growth mindset. Now, when you look at category B, what is category B is there are a lot of startups who see that many companies are getting funding, and so there is a potentially I can also get funding. So I can also, if I get funding, and then if I try to implement or use those funds for the success of the startup, if it succeeds, fine. If it does not succeed, then definitely it is not my money anyway, right? It is investors' money. So I have tried out my best, I've given my best, but then nothing could have been done about it. But the startups are focusing on funding because everybody else is getting funding, and that is the mindset of some of the startups, and I call them as category B. Now, what is category C? When we talk about category C, is the people who are very sure that they want to make this particular company, whatever startup, whatever business they are running, they want to make it extremely successful, and they are not ready to give up. They are highly passionate, they are highly enthusiastic, and they want to not depend on the circumstances or what is happening around them. Rather, they say that, I will make it anyhow. I will simply make it happen. And it is up to me. It is not dependent on anyone else. Nobody outside me. It is not at all dependent on them. So I call them as category C. Now, when we talk about a growth mindset, now most of the startup, if they are falling in category C, then you are actually in a growth mindset. If you're falling in category A or category B, then somewhere you are in a comfort zone, in a fixed mindset, which is not going to help you in the long run, neither it is going to help you to become a very different individual while running your business or your startup. So now what happens? Now, given this particular context, given this particular background, so I typically, the first element which I'm talking about is most of the startup, they start focusing on, can I get funding? If I draw a triangle, the base of the triangle is funding. The focus for every startup is to get funding. Now, when we say funding, they are always focused on whom can I meet, what do I do, which investors, how do I pitch so that I can get some funding. And moment they get funding, the next step is to understand or try to figure out how I can spend this money. Because now the funding has come. Now, if they are lucky enough, they would get funding. And now the next question comes is, how do I spend this money? Where do I utilize this money? Or how do I make sure that I am putting this money into different buckets? And the third comes is the revenue generation or your actual startup work, which is the topmost part of your triangle. Now, I just want to reverse this or flip this entire thing. And I say that if you again draw a fresh triangle, the bottom of your triangle is a strategy. You have to focus on your strategy. Number one, building the right strategy for the business, building right marketing strategies, sales strategies. And moment you have built your strategy, the next thing which comes is, can I implement this strategy and start generating revenue? Can I get at least one or two paying customers? Can I do that? And only after they have got few paying customers, the topmost of the triangle is the funding part, which means that funding is used not to sustain or not to struggle in your company, but rather to grow for your own company. So this is the first very, very key element, is if you are focusing on yourself, if you are focusing on your startup, if you are focusing on your strategy, no doubt you will become successful. And that is the growth mindset which most of the successful entrepreneurs, leaders, they focus on building themselves, getting their internal change, getting the internal change of their own company, which is their startup, and then progressing from there. So this is point number one. Now there are six more points which I'm going to cover. The point number two here is every startup, in fact, every individual also goes through four phases. One is the struggle phase. The second is success phase. Third is sustenance phase. And the fourth is growth phase. So what is the meaning of this struggle phase? Struggle phase means I do not know what is happening. I'm struggling to figure out. As a company, there is a lot of everything is a struggle. My idea is not implemented. That's a struggle. My founders are not aligned. That is a struggle. I'm not getting customers. So everything becomes a struggle because you're trying to figure out your way as to what I should do. Now, the second phase is your success phase. In the success phase, what happens is you have few paying customers, which means that you have got some success. Maybe one or two or maybe three paying customers you have got. Now, you have got this small bit of success that you have, but it is not something which is predictable, which means the success can keep coming and keep going. It does not mean that you will have the same amount of revenue which is going to come for the next month, that you are not sure about. So that is the success phase. Now, third phase which comes is the sustenance phase, which means that let's say you are generating about 10 lakh of revenue, which is hitting your bank account or your company's bank account. You may say that probably 4 or 5 lakhs is predictable, which is going to come month after month after month, right? And the other 4 to 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs is non-predictable. So here, when I talk about the sustenance phase, what I'm trying to tell here is that your 4 to 5 lakhs is something which is predictable, which is sustained. Now you want to make sure that the rest of the money also becomes a sustenance for you. And the fourth phase comes as a growth phase where you start accelerating. You start accelerating, it's your startup or your company or you as an individual, you just take off. And then you say that, okay, now I know exactly what I want to do. And I'm not in the runway now. I'm already in the air, I'm flying, and I know how to make it happen. Right? So these are the four phases which every individual goes through in their life. Every startup also goes through in the startup journey. Now, coming to the growth mindset related to these four phases. Now, when we talk about a startup founders, people who are associated with the company, they have to always focus on that. I will do whatever it takes to move to the third stage, which is a sustenance stage. Now, most of the people, when you run behind money, you run behind your funding, that is the time when you will keep oscillating between your struggle phase as well as your success phase. You will never move into your sustenance phase. So that will not happen for you, right? So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that you have to quickly move away from your struggle phase, your success phase, and go to your sustenance phase. And only when I come to the sustenance phase, that is when I will start focusing on either getting the funding or my external support, which is required. Now, this is a mindset. Now, if this mindset is implemented, if this mindset is followed, it is guaranteed that you will become successful. If this mindset is followed in as an individual also, if you follow this particular mindset, it is guaranteed that you will become extremely, extremely successful. Now, what happens when you decide that I don't want to go for a funding on an external support unless I reach the sustenance phase. Now you start putting constraints on yourself. Now people with growth mindset, they are ready to put constraints on themselves, because for every constraint will bring you a lot of success. When you put constraints, you know that you have to come out of that constraint, right? And many times these constraints are beneficial for you to propel. So I always keep talking to startup owners. I tell them that you should put constraints on yourself. Make sure that you are moving away from your struggle as well as your success phase and move to the sustenance phase, right? So this is point number two. Now coming to the third very important point, right? So the third point is about, when I ask any startup owner, please tell me where you want to reach. What is your goal? Where do you want to go? Okay, so most of the time people are not clear as to where they are trying to go or what is their destination. Now, when you, let's take an example. If you are going on a vacation, let's say you are going on a vacation to Goa, right? Now, what happens? You would have planned everything. You know exactly which particular resort you are staying. You know exactly what time you are flying, right? You know what you are going to do, how many days you are going to spend. You have planned everything related to your travel destination, right? Now, do we plan so much for our company, for our business, or do we plan for our own goals? So, if ask this question to yourself now, what is your goal? What is your goal? Do you know what is your goal? Do you know what you are going to achieve in the next 1 month? Do you know what you are going to achieve in the next 1 quarter? Now, most of the times, people do not have clarity. A person with clarity achieves more. So moment you have this clarity, you know, you tend to go towards that particular destination. So you know that you are traveling there. Now let me take another example here. Now suppose you do not know your destination, then it is like you have a vehicle. Your vehicle is full tank. You know, you're driving every single day, but you don't know where you are going. You actually don't know what is your destination, where you want to go. So most of the people, most of the startup, what they do is they are driving every single moment. They know that they are taking effort, they are putting action, they are taking action, they are moving in some direction, not sure which particular direction. So that is not clear at all, right? So once you fix your destination, now you know that you're driving towards Goa, then you will know that you know what are the different milestones which are there to reach the destination, which is Goa. Now, do you have that particular goal clarity for yourself, for your founders, for your entire company? Okay, have you defined that? And if you have not defined, then you're not moving anywhere. So people with growth mindset, they always are very clear. They are clear that where they are going, what is their goal, what is their destination, right? And the next comes in the same point is about the alignment. Now, what is this alignment? Now, let me again take example of a vehicle, of a four-wheeler. Now, when you are driving a four-wheeler, right, you ensure that all the four tires are equally inflated. They are moving in the right direction. It is in the same speed. It is aligned well. It is completely aligned before you take a journey. Now, what happens if one of the tire is not aligned? Right, that tire gets worn out. What if that particular tire gets punctured? Can you really drive your vehicle? Is it possible? Now this is what I'm trying to tell. When you have, let's say, four founders in your company, and you are driving, are you driving with the same energy, with the same air, same inflated condition? Are you driving at the same speed? Are you aligned while driving? Are you going in the right direction? All four founders. And many times, what we do is, suppose one of the founder decides that I do not want to continue. You don't look for a replacement. You say that, okay, we can run the business, we can run the company with the same three founders which are there, and you don't go for a replacement. And that is where you get into the same situation where one of the tire has got punctured and you try to drive your vehicle. What will happen? The same thing happens for your company as well. So the alignment, clarity and alignment. So clarity plus alignment. So when this clarity plus alignment is there, and all the four founders are focused, here I'm taking example of four founders, there could be two or three, whatever. But if all the four founders are aligned, they are moving in the right direction with the same energy, and then what happens? You start taking focused action. you start taking the right action, and everybody is taking the right action in the right direction. So this is point number three. If this is not there, you are bound to go through the spiral, downward spiral, and your startup will not sustain or it will not succeed. So now coming to what is the next point, point number four. Point number four. Now let me give a difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Now people in the fixed mindset, they are more like thinkers, right? Uh, Assume that you are an employee of a company. Now what do? You always want to be perfect. You always want to think more. You keep thinking, keep building it till the time you are perfect. And only when you are perfect, when you are very very clear that what I have to do, only then you start taking action. Okay, so this is what I called as a disease. It is a perfection is a disease, right? In the intent to be perfect, you don't take the right action, rather you delay action. You start having procrastination, things does not move, you are in the same place. And today if people are not taking action, they're not moving in the right direction, you don't stay in the same place. In fact, you start moving backward. That is what the scenario is. So people with a growth mindset, they don't really worry about so much of thinking. They know what needs to be done. They do strategize. They do think. Thinking is important. They do focus on what is required, but they are doers. They are taking action. So the difference, clear difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset people are that fixed mindset people, they keep on thinking, they never take action. But people with a growth mindset, they're always focused on taking action. Now, if I give this same thing, if I apply for a startup scenario, or for an enterprise or a company or a corporate, now people or a company with a growth mindset will always go and find out right customers so that they start generating revenue, right? But companies with a fixed mindset, they will start focusing on a lot of processes and tools and processes and keep doing it again and again, okay? And wait till their competitors will start capturing their market. So that is called as a fixed mindset, right? So it's very important that we look at taking action, and when you are continue to take action, that is when you become perfect. That is when you get excellence. This is what most of the entrepreneurs, they understand this. Most of the leaders, they understand this. So you may be a startup, does not mean you are an entrepreneur, right? If you are a startup and if you are having a fixed mindset, then you are still having employee mindset. You are not moving in the right direction, right? As an entrepreneur, you need to innovate, you need to move in the right direction, and you need to keep taking action. So this is point number four. Now coming to point number five, which I called as two very very key elements. One is called as comfort zone, and second is called as fear. Now people and companies with fixed mindset, right? They're always in the comfort zone. They never want to move out of the comfort zone. They always want to be there, right? Now, a person with a growth mindset, what they will do, they will challenge themselves. They always want to increase their circle of comfort zone. Now, your comfort zone could be very small, right? But you are working on expanding your comfort zone to a point where everything becomes comfortable for you, and that becomes your growth mindset. Now coming to the second point, which is the fear element. Now let me help you understand why does this fear happen. I asked a lot of people, a lot of companies, do you have fear in terms of achieving your targets, achieving your particular goal? And the answer comes is yes. Now why does this fear happen? Now the fear happens is because either you are thinking about your past, okay, where something where you were not, you can which and not action. Now people with growth mindset, they know, they also know that they have fears. They also know that fear is something which is normal, but they are always in the present moment. They know that today is my most important day. They know, they don't oscillate between past and future. They start making that particular day, that is today, as the most important day of their life and for their company, and they start focusing on taking action. Now, there is a very interesting thing here is that, moment you take an action, your fear goes away. So most of the people come to me and say that, what, I'm having this fear. What do I do? I say, okay, what is your fear? Okay, how do I know whether this particular customer is going to take my product or service or not? I say the only way for you to figure out whether your customer is going to take your product or service or not is go and talk to your customer, right? Which is take the action, and you will get to know. If the customer is taking your product or service, excellent, it is good for you. If not, you have a learning opportunity, and you have to understand why customer did not take it so that you can improve on it and go to the next customer, right? So this is growth mindset. So very, very important. If you are in a comfort zone and if you're not taking action because of fear, you are not a person of a growth mindset. And for you to become successful, as well as for you as a founder to make your startup as a huge success, it's very important that you overcome this particular fear, overcome your comfort zone, being in the comfort zone, move out. You start moving, you start getting up, start taking action, and that is when this happens. Now, point number six, coming to point number six, which I always keep telling is ego is inversely proportional to the money that you have, right? Or money that you are going to make. What does this mean? Now, for people with fixed mindset, ego is most important. I have seen lot of companies, lot of people, lot of salespeople, they lose deals because of ego. They do not follow up because they did not like that particular customer. They did not like a behavior of a particular company or a customer, and somewhere their ego stops them either from completing that particular deal, going for a negotiation, or even to follow up. Okay, and that essentially means that you have lost the opportunity to get one more deal, one more paying customer, and which essentially means that money is not there in your bank account, right? So I always keep telling ego is inversely proportional to the money. Now, as a person with growth mindset, you should focus on your objective, what is important, right? Ego is always in your own control. You can have ego, you cannot have ego. That is, you can, whenever you want, you can bring it out, but not during the closure of the deals, not during your interaction with your customers, not while you are trying to build relationship with your customers. So you have to keep that particular aside. If you understand this one single point, which is ego is inversely proportional to the money that you have, I guarantee you will be successful. And I always keep challenging myself. Whenever something is not happening as per my wish, I say, okay, is it because of ego that I don't want to take the action? Is if that is the case, I say, okay, let me put my ego aside. Let me go and first close the deal, whatever is required. If it requires 3, 4, 5 follow-ups, whatever number of follow-ups, I will do. Even if I'm getting rejection, I will still move ahead, because if I'm not able to understand and embrace rejection, that means I'm getting ego, right? So this is point number 6. Now, coming to point number 7, which is the most important point of all, is which I always keep telling is success is a decision. Success is a decision, right? Which means that a person with a fixed mindset says that, my success depends on the circumstances. My success depends on how many people are ready to buy my products or services. My success depends on which particular market I'm in. My success depends on, will I be able to create success even though I don't get my support, right? But people with growth mindset, they always know that success is a decision. You define what you want to achieve. You define what you want, and then you make a decision to achieve that. So once you have made a decision, that means you have decided not to give up. Now, what happens when you say success is a decision? What happens? Your subconscious mind programming happens, where you are telling yourself that I'm not ready to give up. My success does not depend on an individual or a customer or a circumstance or the market scenario. I'm going to become successful anyway. That is what you're telling your subconscious mind. And eventually, what you also do, you stop the self talk which continues in your mind, saying that, will I be successful? Will it happen? Will it not happen? You stop that. You stop that chatter which is going on within your own mind, because success is a decision. If I have decided, I have to be successful. right? So if you have that particular element, the most important element, which is called as success is a decision, you will, I guarantee you will be successful, right? So these are the seven very, very important points which I would like to share with you. Let me summarize to all of you what are these 7 points, including the core team and my entire organization is aligned. I'm going to get success anyway. The fourth very important point is between thinking zone and taking action zone. So are you continue to be in the thinking zone, or are you action oriented, right? And the fifth point is all about your ego. Ego is your inversely proportional to the money that you have, right? So sixth point is about your comfort zone and fear, right? Are you ready to challenge your comfort zone? Are you ready to challenge your fear and still move in the right direction? And point number seven is success is your decision. So if you implement these 7 points judiciously, individually, in yourself, for your company, for your core team, okay, think about it. If you do this, it is guaranteed you will move in the right direction, guaranteed you will be successful, right? So that's all I had to cover for today. I hope you got a lot of insights. Okay, you can reach out to me. Okay, my name is Sovan Panda again. I'm you can search me on Google. You'll find a lot of videos on my name. You can reach out to me at 97422 04653. I'm reachable if you need any kind of discussion, service, consultation, understand, hand holding, what needs to be done. You're facing any kind of a challenge, you reach out to me. I'll be there to support you. Always understand that help is always available. You have to go out and reach out for help. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.